What's new? Get ready.
Hello there, everybody, and welcome to episode 43 of the Play to Win podcast. My name is Tyler. I'm your host this week, and I'm joined, as always, by the ever magnificent and awesome and amazing Keiran. How are you doing?
Magnificently. I'm doing pretty good. You know, I had a somewhat less busy week.
Okay. We love to hear that. We love to hear less busy weeks. Kind of had the same over here. It was late at work for me, which was good. Very good, actually. Allowed me to try and catch up on stuff that I normally wouldn't be able to get done or would take me longer to get done this week. So that was good. I had some nice downtime. It was really nice. All that being said, though, we got a big episode ahead of us. A very big and lengthy episode to dig into. So we're just gonna start getting into things because this is the Play to Win podcast. This is where we break down the week's biggest gaming news through in-depth discussion, and we are going to have us an in-depth discussion today for sure. There are going to be timestamps in the description to bounce around between the different topics of conversation, although we only have one main news story this week. We'll get to that in a bit, though. Remember, subscribe to the podcast or the channel over on YouTube if you're over there, and hit the notification bell if you are on YouTube. If you're on podcast services, subscribe to us. It really helps out a lot. So please do that. Thank you all very much. We hope you enjoy the show, and we hope you all enjoy this episode as we really dig into the meat and potatoes behind the acquisition of Activision-Blizzard by Microsoft. We did a emergency mini quote unquote episode earlier in the week, the day this happened, just giving our initial thoughts and reactions to this acquisition. But we didn't really dig into any of the news stories or anything that was coming out because it was an ever-evolving story. Like, there were so many articles that came out that day, interviews that happened, that we just didn't have the time to really look at them. And in the days since then, there's been more news and more interviews and more statements that have been made. So we're going to dig into all of that here today in this episode of the Play to Win podcast. We do have a few brief mentions to get through first. By a few, we literally mean 5, which is good. Because everything would have been a brief mention this week anyway. First brief mention that we have here is that funny little statement here from Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick. He called the rough launch of the GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition a glitch that has been resolved. Didn't know that rough launches could be considered glitches, but apparently they can be. Dying Light 2 on the Switch has been delayed, and it should be released within 6 months of its original release date. So that means it was supposed to come out February 4th for Switch. It's a cloud version specifically, but now that means it'll be released ideally by August 4th of this year. So Switch owners who are playing it through cloud will have to wait a bit, and we'll really have to wait to see how that cloud version performs, to be honest. If you want to play it anywhere else, though, you can play it on any other platform on December 4th.
February 4th.
What did I say?
You said December 4th.
I said, I'm thinking about, I don't even know why I said December. That was very weird. Thank you for correcting me on that. Third brief mention here, according to SteamDB, is a site that kind of keeps track of player counts for different games and all on Steam. God of War launched with a peak of 75,329 players, surpassing Horizon Zero Dawn's peak of 56,557 players, which also makes God of War the biggest Sony PC launch. Congratulations to God of War. Congratulations to Sony, the team of Santa Monica, everyone who worked on this game, the PC version. Congratulations, PC players. You have an amazing game there, so enjoy it. Enjoy it. This would have, maybe it might not have been a main story this week, if not for everything else, but Polygon did a report on the crunch that's been happening at the studio behind Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. It's kind of what you would expect. Just basically the team over there at TT Games, they've been, punched out games for years after years, basically annually, because, of all sorts of other deals that try to get a game to release in time with a movie or a show or what have you. And then there's been a bunch of crunch trying to get Lego Star Wars out. It's an interesting story. So by all means, go ahead and read it. I hope that the team over there will have better working conditions going forward, that they won't have to crunch so hard to get a game out. after Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker saga. We do know now, though, that that game is releasing on April 5th. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope it's a good game. It looks like it'll be fun. They they also released a like a gameplay overview. It's like 6.5 minutes long, showing gameplay, detailing different aspects of the game. So by all means, go check that out too. But yes, we definitely hope that the team over there that they no more crunch, please, and thank you, because it wasn't a case of like crunch like happening like, oh man, we didn't get this done, we got a crunch. Like, no, the crunch was like baked into their schedule and all like that. It was like inherent to what was going to happen and in like terms of like how they make their games. So hopefully that gets all sorted out. And the final brief mention actually got added, I believe today. I think this story dropped today. If not, it was really late last night, but I saw this morning. Dreams, the Media Molecule game, it is being used for a movie called A Winter's Journey, which is actually very, very cool. We've always heard about people in Dreams making really cool things and all, but yeah, it's being made for a movie.
Yeah.
A Winter's Journey. I'm reading this article on Polygon from Ana Diaz. A Winter's Journey is set in Bavaria, in the southeast part of now Germany, in 1812. The film will tell the story of a poet who takes a perilous journey across mountains, ice, and snow. This tundra-ridden world, it turns out, will be built in dreams. According to a release, the film, quote, seamlessly blends live action with CG and painted animation, end quote. I just thought that was a nice little, a little heartwarming. I don't know if I'd say heartwarming, but really cool story. Like Dreams is being used for an actual feature film, not a fan film, like an actual movie.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Just shows the power of Dreams and what you can do in that with the right tools and skill set and so on and so forth. Those are all our brief mentions. Now it's time for us to start talking about Microsoft and Activision-Blizzard acquiring this major acquisition. Keiran, I still can't believe this happened. I still can't believe it happened.
No, I mean, neither can I. Like this is all I have thought about since it got announced, that I was thinking of the ramifications and the benefits of this, and it's something I'll get into later on.
Yeah, it's a lot. But for those who somehow, some way may not have heard this just game-changing, industry-shaking news here, Microsoft is set to acquire Activision-Blizzard for $67.8 billion at $95 per share, which will make them the third largest gaming company behind Tencent and Sony, respectively. Now, in our emergency episode, we kind of did an overview based off what we knew at the time, but we're going to do another overview of the acquisition based on all the details that we have that are out there now, just about the acquisition itself. So first off, this acquisition will now bring Xbox's first-party studio count to 30 studios. That's a lot. They had 23 I believe it was 23 after the Bethesda one, but now they will be at 30, which is a lot of studios. The deal is expected to close by the end of Microsoft's 2023 fiscal year, which is June 2023. Activision, Blizzard, and Microsoft will operate independently until the deal is closed. Once it is closed, they will report to Phil Spencer, who is now promoted to CEO of Microsoft Gaming. He was formerly Executive Vice President of Gaming at Microsoft. Bobby Kotick. Yes, Keiran.
Sorry, I do have one quick thing I want to add in.
What's that?
If you look at Xbox Gaming Leader, I'm looking at the picture that they have here, the Xbox Gaming Leadership, which is now Microsoft Gaming. The top members at Xbox, there are 6 men and 7 women, which I thought was an interesting thing to point out.
It is a very interesting thing to point out. It's a nice thing to point out. It's great to see that, there's a nice split right there in terms of the gender representation and all. Bobby Kotick, who is currently the CEO of Activision Blizzard, he will continue to stay in that position until the deal closes, upon which he will reportedly leave the company shortly after. And he can also reportedly make up to $390 million once the deal is done, due to him owning 39.5 million shares of the company. That's a lot of money. The current plan is to include as many Activision Blizzard games as possible in Game Pass, both new and old, once this deal is done. For those who may not know, I'm just going to rattle off some of the names of studios that are there at Activision Blizzard. of course, there is Blizzard Entertainment. They do Overwatch, Warcraft, Starcraft, Diablo, so on and so forth. I had a little cough myself there too. There's Beanox, who some may remember. They made some of the Spider-Man games for Activision back in the day. Now they are a Call of Duty development support team. There's Demonware, which handles matchmaking for their games. Definitely Call of Duty for sure. I've heard that name a lot over there. There's Digital Legends, which is a mobile studio. High Moon Studios, who some might remember, made the Transformers War for Cybertron and Battle for Cybertron games, who have also been relegated to Call of Duty support status in recent years. There is Infinity Ward, who they created Call of Duty. There's King, which are the creators of behind Candy Crush. I got this list from Xbox Wire, the initial post announcing the acquisition. They have Major League Gaming there, and I imagine that's just because Activision has esports like stuff that they do, so connections with Major League Gaming. So now Microsoft will be working with Major League Gaming as well. Radical Entertainment was another studio that they had listed. Raven Software, people might know them now. They work on Warzone essentially over there for Call of Duty, and they also helped work on the campaign for Cold War, for Black Ops Cold War in 2020. Then there's Sledgehammer Games, who we all know they did Advanced Warfare, not Infinite Warfare, Advanced Warfare, World War II, Vanguard, and they also helped on Modern Warfare 3. Toys for Bob, some might remember back in the day, they helped create Skylanders. They created the Skylanders franchise. They most recently made what's the game Crash 4, and then shortly after were relegated to Call of Duty support status, as always. And then there's Treyarch, who created the Black Ops series, World at War. They also, I think they did Call of Duty 3. I believe it was COD 3 that they did. So those are all the studios that Activision-Blizzard has. Just for perspective.
Yep.
And just for a little bit of extra perspective here, IGN kind of had an article dropping like, hey, where the acquisition ranks amongst, big entertainment related acquisitions. So this is the third biggest acquisition in entertainment, coming behind AT&T acquiring Time Warner for $85.4 billion in 2018, and Disney acquiring 21st Century Fox for $71.3 billion in 2019. This is the largest gaming acquisition, topping the previous record of $12.7 billion that Take-Two paid to buy Zynga, which, funny enough, that happened like days before Microsoft acquired Activision-Blizzard, funny enough. Microsoft now, in relation to other acquisitions here. Now, remember the last big purchase that Microsoft did was for ZeniMax. They purchased them for $7.5 billion, although IGN has $8 billion. So I think $8 billion might be like an updated number. Now, for even funnier reference for all of this, again, Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard for $67.8 billion. For extra perspective, that's just funny. Disney bought Pixar for $7.4 billion in 2006. They bought Marvel for $4.24 billion in 2009. They bought Lucasfilm for $4.05 billion in 2012. And Microsoft also bought Mojang for $2.5 billion in 2014. So some of these giant like cultural IPs, cultural like touchstones were cheaper than Activision Blizzard. It's actually like crazy to think about. And then a final little reference point here that got announced alongside all this is that Game Pass, the subscriber count, is officially over 25 million subscribers. Last we heard before this, it was 18 million. So we have a new official number to go by, 25 million. There's a lot of stuff right there. There's a lot of just overview of this acquisition and how much it costs and reference points and all like that. I know you kind of said before, but do you have any like extra additional top level thoughts on this acquisition right now? Like days later, now that you've thought about it some more, you've had time to sit, reflect on it, read all these other things that have come out. Just top level thoughts before we start digging into specific points and topics and all.
Okay, I actually have quite a few additional thoughts to what I said on the episode that went live on Wednesday. On Wednesday, I was probably like 50, maybe 55% for this acquisition.
Mhm.
Now it's more like 70-30.
Okay.
I've had more time to think. Because I've been watching, I haven't been reading a whole lot about the acquisition, but I have been watching a lot of like podcasts or videos um or other things that like people giving their thoughts on it. And a lot of people I agree. Well, a lot of people, some of the things I agree with, some of the things I don't. But I would even go so far as to say I'm more like 75-25.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
I'm definitely more for this acquisition than I was initially.
Okay. I think that I don't know if my stance on it has changed much. I'm still all of the mindset that this is 100% a great move for Xbox. It is a great thing for the players over there. It's a great thing for Xbox's like plans, kind of like what they want to do and all like that going forward. It is hopefully going to be great for the employees at Activision-Blizzard. Hopefully things will start to really get cleaned up over there. Now that Microsoft will assuming Microsoft does eventually, end up owning them. The deal could always end up falling apart and not going through. But assuming it does, things could get so much better. Hopefully they would get a whole lot better for them over there. And I think that that possibility is a really great thing. Like that is, like I said before, that is the shining pillar of this deal right here. Like that is the one great takeaway that I don't think anyone can deny, that like this could potentially be really great for them. But I'm still not that fond of the consolidation aspect of it all. And I think about that. That's just in the back of my mind whenever I think about this. And I'm just like, that's just not good. It's not good. And I think it's tough for me because that weighs, I'm like, does that weigh as much, like equally as much as all the good that this does, or does it weigh a bit less? And I kind of like go back and forth sometimes, depending on like just what I'm thinking about at the moment. So I don't know. I wouldn't say my thoughts have changed too much. But I think maybe they will as I sit and talk about each of these deeper points that we're going to get into during this conversation. So you're ready to start digging into this, Keiran?
Yes.
All right. So how's the story evolved since we initially talked about this Tuesday, since this news first broke on Tuesday, and all these stories have come out since then? How has this story evolved? So there's a lot of things. We're going to talk about some new details that have come out. We'll talk about the response from Activision-Blizzard employees, what it's looking like inside there, and what this acquisition can mean for them and that company going forward. We're going to talk about the potential with Activision-Blizzard's games, what can happen with those. We'll talk about some of the wider industry response, but we'll also talk about what this acquisition means for Xbox and PlayStation going forward, starting next year, essentially, really. What each company will have to do, what each company can and should do, what we think their angles are. It's going to be the different places and topics that we're going to be talking about with all of this. But we'll first start with just a few little new details that came out the same day. I think it was like either the same day or like a day after the acquisition was announced, that they're not like a specific angle on this, but they just give some extra color to why this acquisition happened and some of the like the finer details behind it.
Yeah.
So there was a Wall Street Journal report that came out revealing that Activision-Blizzard, they wanted to change the narrative around the company, specifically Bobby Kotick. He wanted to fix the narrative and all. And one avenue that he considered was reportedly buying gaming media companies. He wanted to do an acquisition of some sort. And one of those was, all right, maybe you could do a media company, such as Kotaku or PC Gamer. And that just would not have gone well. That would have been that would have been terrible. No one would have been happy with that. Of course, the writers at each of those companies would have just had all types of breakdowns and crises I don't say that lightly or like jokingly. Like I'm sure they would have just
Oh
been
yeah,
like,
100%.
what I can't, no, I can't right now. So that came out, and in the same report, it also came out that low stock price following the controversy led Microsoft to pursue this acquisition. And at first, Bobby Kotick didn't want to do it, but eventually he gave in, and he was like, "All right, well, let's talk about this. We have a great relationship, me and Phil. Let's talk about this. Let's see where this goes," and all like that. Do you have anything to say about that before I bring in the next little mini detail, or can I bring that one in first, and then we just kind of talk about both of these?
I was just gonna say, I love it how to get rid of the narrative that Bobby Kotick's a horrible person, he was like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna manipulate the media."
Right. Like even if he did that, like there's still like the editorial independent side of things.
Yeah.
So they could still write what they wanted to. Just put the disclaimer, we're owned by Activision-Blizzard. Like it's just a silly thought. It's just like, really? Really? This was what you were thinking. You were that desperate. Well, also speaking of like weird thoughts that Bobby Kotick has, in an interview with GamesBeat, this was actually the first interview that Kotick did after the acquisition was announced and all. He stated as part of the interview, there was a question posed to him about stock prices and all, and saying like, hey, the lawsuit is definitely like a cause for the lower stock prices, right? And I'm not reading the quote verbatim, but Kotick basically he stated that the lower than normal performance of this year's Call of Duty and delaying Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4, he's like, he basically believed that those played a bigger factor in the company's declining stock price than the lawsuit. And it's like, sir, while those may have played a factor in things, I don't believe that they played a bigger factor than the lawsuit coming out against your company and all the horrible details that came with it. I highly doubt that. And I think that just goes to show, again, how he wants to shift the narrative, but also just like how he views this stuff. Like how he kind of like just wants to downplay the lawsuit as like not that big a deal at all, when it's a very big deal.
Yeah. I can't remember where I saw it. Somebody had said, and I very much agree, that Bobby Kotick is a person that cares about appearances more than anything else. Like, that's the reason he won't leave the company, because he doesn't want to appear weak or like he lost control. Him saying that Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4 played a bigger factor in the company's declining stock price just shows that he cares what people think of him. He cares that he is always seen to be one of the most powerful icons in gaming, which
he cares about his self-image, but not like, what's going on with others and like what's actually important right now.
Yeah. Which is the last kind of person you want to run a company.
Exactly. So those are just two little details, just add on to the acquisition itself. But now we're going to start digging into Activision Blizzard itself and what's going on inside the company, how things are looking in there. Many across the industry, and media and community have had praise for this acquisition, but they've also held reservations. Some of these reservations are in regards to industry consolidation, like I mentioned before, and others also hold reservations in regards to how this acquisition will affect Activision Blizzard King employees. So the day this acquisition was announced, the employee group over there, ABK, they tweeted their surprise by this acquisition. They tweeted out like, whoa, wait, can't believe this is happening. But they remain focused in like getting their demands and their goals. Like they're not like saying, all right, we're good, throwing in the towel. Microsoft should save us. We don't need to do anything else. Like, no, they're steadfast in their goals. They still want all their demands to be met by Activision Blizzard King management and executives and so on and so forth, which is very great. And according to Jason Schreier, reception from Activision Blizzard employees on the acquisition was a bit mixed. Some of them are optimistic that, hey, a change in leadership could, bring good things. Some of them were like upset that Bobby Kotick is going to be able to get on out of Dodge like scot-free with just like a golden parachute. Everyone's been saying it's like, hey, I'm leaving with money. See you later. No, I'm not facing any repercussions for the damage I caused over here. So it's a mix of emotions from Activision Blizzard employees over there. And I completely understand that. And then Thursday, Washington Post piece by Shannon Liao and Liao. I'm sorry, it's Liar. I forgot to put the I in here. And Gene Park. It was an article there basically talking about how Bobby Kotick on Thursday held a video call with all employees called a fireside chat. What a lovely name to call this.
Yeah.
Just to discuss the acquisition. Now, this was supposed to be 30 minutes long. Kotick was 7 minutes late, and the chat was only 16 minutes long. For perspective here, he reinforced that he will remain CEO until the deal closes and will stay as long as necessary afterward to ensure a smooth transition. Some employees, though, they're worried about layoffs at the company due to a comment that Kotick made, where he says, quote, Microsoft is committed to trying to retain as many of our people as possible, end quote. One person who spoke to the Washington Post says that there's optimism, kind of like how Jason Schreier mentioned, but there's also lingering anger due to all the harm that Bobby could cause and the potential harm that he could continue to cause before he leaves. And I want to pause right there for a moment and just like with this view of how things are on the inside, how all the employees are feeling. I really can't imagine what it's actually like being in their shoes. Like we're seeing it from the outside in, and obviously we can empathize and sympathize with them, but actually being there on the inside of this for the past almost year. This all started kicking off in June, I guess you could say. Yeah. It's January now, so February, March, April, May. So we are for the past like 8 months, essentially. Like life over there has been chaotic. Like it was already chaotic before. But like it's been even more chaotic as this lawsuit came out and all these stories have come out and reports and one thing after another, and then lies from Bobby Kotick. They're saying one thing, but they're doing another thing, and they're trying to run things back and downplay others and lie about other things. It's just been such a whirlwind. So I can only imagine what they're feeling like, what they're going through right now over there at that company.
Yeah, and as I think I said this on Wednesday. As much as I believe that Microsoft is not a perfect company and it's all sunshine and rainbows and they have nothing wrong with them, I haven't seen a lot of huge scandals come out of Microsoft in terms of like sexual harassment, sexual assault, discrimination, all that kind of stuff. Again, although I'm sure it goes on. So like I am still 100% with them that I am skeptical and I have apprehensions about it, but at the same time I am optimistic about the future there. But the other thing that I saw, I think it was on IGN's Unlocked podcast, where they were talking about this, that Bobby Kotick is most likely getting off scot-free, which absolutely sucks. I hate that. However, there was one allegation that is, I imagine, currently being investigated about shredding of documents. If that turns out to be true, and Bobby Kotick had any hand in that, then he will be persecuted for that, because that's not something you can just get away with.
I would hope so. I obviously I don't want it to be true that he was involved in that. I don't want any of these allegations to be true. Not. But if they are and he was involved, I would 100% want him to, get persecuted, get locked up, whatever the consequences are. I want that to happen because he would 100% deserve it. I mean, he totally does for just everything that's happened at the company right now. But the fact that he, as of now, is not going to get forcibly ousted and is just going to be like, other companies, Microsoft's buying us and I'm leaving. See you all later. Yeah. Have fun with that. Like, that's just like really, it's upsetting and disappointing. I think that's part of what makes this so like complicated for not just for us on the outside, but especially for the employees, where it's like, yeah, he's going to be gone. We have like new management can come in here and they can help make things better. It's so fantastic. But how do you get to do everything you did to us and just leave with tons of money, with just bucket loads of money, with a smile on your face and say, the company is like my children and I care about everyone very dearly. I care about it so much. I want to be in, I want it to be in great hands once I leave. But like you let all this stuff go down at the company. So clearly, like you can't care that much about the people at your company.
Mhm.
You care about the money that the company makes you. That's what really matters to you. So you being able to get all this money and leave after causing all this damage, it's upsetting and disappointing. So it's one of those things where it's just like, what's the word? Gosh, there's a word what people say where it's like good riddance to you. I was like, good riddance. Like, you're finally gone. Thank you. At least you're gone. Now we can actually try and make things better.
Yeah. I also love that, as you have here, he reinforced that he'll remain CEO until the deal closes, which I like, which will happen, and will stay as long as necessary afterwards to ensure a smooth transition. No, you won't, because at that point you're not answering to your super chummy pals on the board of directors at Activision Blizzard. You're answering to the board of directors at Microsoft Gaming and Microsoft, and I can 100% guarantee you're out.
I'm sure he will be. I mean, like he has said that that he's told Microsoft that he'll be available as needed. Either he told Microsoft that, or somehow, some way, like that was part of his statement that he gave in either in an interview somewhere to someone, that basically he'll be available as needed. What that means is like really like who knows what that actually means.
Yeah.
Of course, this is all like corporate legal speak. You can't say anything specific because the deal's not done yet and all. So you gotta dance around things. But what everyone's kind of all agreeing on is that once this deal is done, if he is still there at the company, it will not be for long.
No.
Like it will not be long before he leaves and is out, which is always going to be a good thing.
Yep.
Now, Bobby Kotick over at Activision and Microsoft's CEO Satya Nadella, they both sent emails to their respective employees. Kotick to Activision employees, Satya Nadella to Microsoft employees, and they're both speaking about how Microsoft they talk about a number of things, like how they're happy about the deal and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But they also talk about how Microsoft will help fix the culture over there at Activision Blizzard and try to make it a safe, welcoming, and inclusive place to work at. Which I think it's funny in Satya Nadella's letter. There's a statement, there's a part where he says, I'm really grateful for Bobby Kotick's leadership and so on and so forth, and trying to make a change over there. It's like, really though? Like, are we just saying that to try and like just for fluff for the letter, or like do you actually believe that? I doubt you actually believe that. But moving on, Blizzard's head Mike Ibarra, he also posted a public letter listing all the ways that Blizzard aims to improve the company's culture. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but some of the points that he has on there are dedicating more full-time roles and resources to improving the company's culture, making clear accountability for unacceptable behavior, and also implementing an upward feedback program for employees to be able to kind of rate or give feedback on their higher-ups, which are all great things. That's great stuff right there for sure. And then little fun, great last note here about things that are going on at Activision Blizzard on the inside. Raven Software's QA employees who have been striking for weeks now, they formed the Game Workers Alliance Union over there, which is the first union in Activision Blizzard. And I believe, I forgot exactly, but I believe it is the first union in North America, at like one of these big companies like this. And that's a huge thing. It's a huge thing, huge deal. They put up a whole little tweet thread and everything. And if you want to go read it, by all means, go check it out. But they have stated that they have sent a letter to the executive management, basically asking them to voluntarily recognize and acknowledge our union. If that doesn't work out, then they will go a different avenue about getting a union recognized at the company. And some people have said it's kind of unlikely that Activision Blizzard executives will do it, but who knows? The higher ups, they have like responded to the letter, to the union being made, to the Game Workers Alliance statement that they put out and all. But this is great. It's fantastic that they got the union over there. I'm very happy that ended up working out. And I've seen some people wonder will the union eventually extend past QA employees? Will it end up in including other employees over there at not just Raven but Activision Blizzard, or are we going to have more unions forming up over at Activision Blizzard for different employees and so on and so forth?
Yeah. Quick question: are we moving on to your final thing of like how do we feel about the acquisition?
Well, I mean, I guess we could throw that in here in regard in addition to just like responding to just these couple last few points I made here, brought up here, because how do we feel about this acquisition with all this stuff in mind about the employees, how they're feeling about things, what's going on with the employees at Activision Blizzard post acquisition and all. What are we thinking? How, like, are we feeling better about it? Are we feeling still the same? Are we more hopeful? What are we thinking?
Microsoft has been walking the walk in terms of buying a studio, then saying, okay, we're here to give you more resources and more funding. Do things how you have continue to do things how you've been doing them. We are simply here to give you the best possible means of making what you're making, which is one of like my big pros for this acquisition. But in terms of all the stuff that like ABK and the Game Workers Alliance and all the things they're concerned about, again, I'm going to say the same thing I said before, which like I'm not aware of any major things going on at Xbox, and I am very confident that Xbox is one of the companies that is going to be able to fix, maybe not entirely and definitely not quickly, but at least mend some of the things that have happened at Activision Blizzard over the last however many years they've been operating, 18, I think.
Right. And it'll take time. It's going to take time for like
100%.
this change to happen. Like we don't know, like we said before a number of times on the show, like where no one expects change to happen literally within days of this deal closing. Like workplace culture is something that takes a lot of time to change. So it'll be like, another like a year, 2 years before we hear reports of like, how are things over at Activision Blizzard now that you're owned by Microsoft? Are things better? Are they improving? It's going to take time.
Yeah, I'm reading something from the Phil Spencer Xbox Wire post that kind of announced this acquisition on Xbox Wire. And he says, quote, as a company, Microsoft is committed to our journey for inclusion in every aspect of gaming among both employees and players. We deeply value individual studio cultures. We also believe that creative success and autonomy go hand in hand with treating every person with dignity and respect. We hold all teams and all leaders to this commitment. We're looking forward to extending our culture of proactive inclusion to the great teams across Activision Blizzard, end quote. When I read that, like, to me, that sounds like either fix your company or we'll do it for you. So that's one of the things that is giving me hope that Xbox are going to step in and be like, hey, it's okay now. We're going to fix it, or we're going to try to fix it.
Yeah, I think that they do mean good. It's in all the letters, all the emails that have come out, everyone has been saying the same thing of inclusion and fixing company culture and so on and so forth, because they all know that this is something we cannot ignore.
Yeah,
and it's sparked so much change and so many conversations over the past year since this lawsuit came out. So like, and this is a point I've seen people make. Once Activision Blizzard gets acquired by Microsoft is now going to have to handle, working with this union and any other potential unions that may form before the acquisition closes. So like, how are they going to be in terms of cooperating with them and working alongside them and handling their demands and so on and so forth? Like, how is that going to work out? Is Microsoft going to be real friendly with them and actually cooperative? Are they going to be a bit standoffish or combative? I don't think they will be. I mean, given everything that we've heard and seen from the company, it doesn't seem like they would be like that at all. It seems like they would be more than open to working with them and recognize them and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But it is going to be very different. Like, Microsoft is not inheriting the Activision Blizzard of 2 years ago. They're inheriting an Activision Blizzard that is empowered and feels very strong about we're tired of the treatment that we've dealt with for X amount of years. We want change. We are going to get the change we want, come hell or high water.
Yeah.
We're getting the change we want. So you better be ready to work with us because we're going to get it. So it's going to be really interesting seeing just how that all shakes out.
Yeah. And one thing that I'm concerned about. So Microsoft have the potential to be viewed as, the only word I can think for it is heroes of this situation, but I don't want to say that because it makes me sound like I'm holding them higher than I think they should be. But they have the potential to be like the really good guys in this scenario where they inherit Activision-Blizzard and they clean up everything. They get everything fixed. Every toxic person leaves. Every union is recognized. Every worker is valued and appreciated. If they make even one minuscule mistake on that, everyone is going to look at that and go, you're failing too better. You're failing too better. You're failing too better.
Mhm.
Which arguably wouldn't be the worst thing in the world because it means it's going to lead to more change. But they are going to have to be very, very careful about how they do it if they want to do it cleanly and if they want to do it without getting massive backlash from everyone for getting even the smallest thing even slightly wrong.
Yeah, I didn't read this article. Jez Corden from Windows Central. I don't know if he wrote it or if someone else wrote it over there, but he shared it, whatever. Basically, an article, the headline, if I'm correct, is Microsoft, the world is watching you.
Yeah.
Like, it basically literally said exactly what you did. Like, I haven't read the article, but I'm sure in the exact article, they make the same points you do of you are inheriting all these people who have had a lot of problems and a lot of issues, and they've been going through a lot of troubles. And you're saying you're going to help them out, and everyone expects you to help them out. If you mess this up, it's going to look really bad on you. And we're all going to be scrutinizing you very closely because we know how bad things have been over there. So I hope that a lot of good comes out of this for the ABK workers, employees over there. And I hope things get better. I hope things actually turn out for the best. I hope that all their hesitancy ends up, being unfounded. It's like, okay, we actually didn't need to worry. Like we're not getting laid off. Microsoft, they're not just saying stuff and not following it up on it. Like they're not just doing stuff for like a month and then falling back on it all. Like they're doing stuff consistently to make sure that things are good over here. So that's kind of like my final takeaway from this for my thoughts on the acquisition in relation to the ABK employees. I hope things get better. I do think they can be better, and they just need to be better. So Microsoft, work on that.
Yeah, sorry, I do have one final thing to add real quick. Just the point in the kind of fireside chat where it says employees are worried about layoffs due to a comment from Kotick, blah, blah, blah. I don't think that's going to happen. Microsoft, like with their look at Bethesda. They didn't acquire Bethesda, then lay off a bunch of people. They didn't acquire any other studio, then lay off a bunch of people. The only people I think they're going to get rid of are the people who need to be gotten rid of. Yeah.
But again, you never know.
Exactly.
When you have big companies like this do mergers and stuff like it, again, Activision-Blizzard, they are very big, much bigger, very different from Bethesda. Yeah. So they could say, all right, there are redundancies. We don't need as many people. We need to cut costs, so on and so forth. But with those are things we don't want to happen. But you never know. You never know. All right. Let's talk about the games. Call of Duty, all the other games over there. Activision-Blizzard makes a lot. They don't make a lot of games, as we've talked about before. They tend to really just make one every year. And then other years, there might be like another 2 or 3 that come out. But yeah, another conversation has been, all right, now you have Activision-Blizzard and all their IPs. What's going to go on with those? What's going to happen with those? Well, you and I kind of talked about it a bit on Tuesday night when we recorded that emergency episode about Call of Duty. Maybe they won't annualize it anymore. Maybe it'll be like biannual or one every couple years or what have you. And according to Bloomberg sources, they kind of talked to some people who have knowledge of like higher up stuff over there.
Yeah.
There have been talks that Call of Duty may not be annualized anymore. So perhaps we will just get like, who knows when that'll start. Maybe it'll start with next year's game and the 2024 one won't come out. Perhaps it'll be the 2023 game. No, sorry. No, yeah, maybe it'll be the 2023 game. And then after that, it'll be 2025 before we get another new Call of Duty. Who knows? Maybe it starts this year with the next Modern Warfare. After that, maybe there is no 2023 game. Maybe the next one is 2024 or even 2025. Who knows? Like, I think it's a very good thing. That's a very good thing. As you and I mentioned, it allows the devs just to be able to work on new things, or just let the games have longer life cycles, and then let the newer games and like the next game of the franchise be a big deal when it comes back. Let it innovate in some type of way, as opposed to just feeling like the same thing every year, or just feeling very similar every single year. And Phil Spencer, he has also expressed interest in reviving some of Activision's older franchises. So I looked up some of the older franchises. There's not a lot that I could see a whole lot of people maybe wanting back, but in addition to Hexen, which he name dropped, which I've never heard of, but that's an old one, I believe. In addition to those, I listed 4 here. Of course, Guitar Hero, Spyro, Crash Bandicoot, and Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Like, those are the 4 that everyone is just like, all right, what's going on? What are we going to do with these? Are we going to bring these back? How are we going to do it? And I forgot what interview was it in, but Bobby Kotick has said that like he's even thought about wanting to bring Guitar Hero back in some type of way. It's just a matter of the fact that producing the guitars, the physical side of things, and the manufacturing, like they kind of can't do it. They can't do it. So it's like Guitar Hero can't come back, but he's had ideas for it. Like Skylanders, he feels so bad that like that just ended up going away, because Skylanders was a hit when it first started, and then you had it was kind of annualized, but then you also had other companies in the industry make their own like Skylanders. Like you had the Lego one. There was a Lego one. I think it was like another one.
There's
like
there was Lego Dimensions, and
there's Lego Dimensions. I remember that. There were like 2 or 3 other like Toys to Life type games that ended up being things, but like it happened so fast that like they just became that genre just became so saturated so quickly, and like really expensive and pricey and all like that. So like that just went away, and like Kotick said he feels bad about that. So who knows? Maybe Phil Spencer would bring that back. Crash maybe could come back and get a 5th game. Maybe Tony Hawk could get new stuff. What are you thinking? Like, would you want any of these older franchises to come back? How do you feel about the thought of any of these coming back? What would you want them to do?
Sorry, I was looking up names of like other games like Skylanders, and I typed in Skylanders alternatives and clicked on a SourceForge link, and the first one is Dark Souls 3, and I'm like, maybe not.
Okay, that's an interesting one. Although I'm sure people would love to have the Skylanders, like the Dark Souls, like little statuettes of the thingies. Oh man, that'd be cool. And imagine like the thing you put it on, it like lights up like a bonfire. Like, yo, I'm giving people ideas right here. Ideas. Okay, look at that.
So I would be a big fan if Spyro came back. I can, like, similar to playing Ratchet and Clank, I can close my eyes and picture my room playing Spyro. So I'm a big Spyro fan. Like, I'm not the biggest Guitar Hero fan. Like, I definitely had Guitar Hero Live, and I've considered picking it up again recently because I've seen a few listings for it, like Facebook Marketplace or something. I'm like, I actually kind of enjoyed Guitar Hero Live. I want to get that again. Crash Bandicoot, like, I'm for coming back, sure. Like, I've never been the biggest Crash fan. And then I have no interest in Tony Hawk Pro Skater, but I know a lot of people do. But like under Mike, again, I'm gonna go back to that Jason Schreier tweet that he said that under Activision-Blizzard, every franchise had to be a $1 billion franchise. Under Microsoft, that most likely isn't going to be the case. So I'm excited to see how the teams do under Microsoft. I'm very, very confident that they are going to be allowed to do what they want rather than what they're told to do. Because I imagine at least one of the 3 Call of Duty developers must be even a little bit sick of making Call of Duty every year. And under
I'm sure the support studios, like I'm sure they would love to do like
exactly.
Toys for Bob. Again, Toys for Bob just did Crash. They just
Yeah.
did Crash 4, and people liked it for the most part. And it's like, all right, that was a good game. Go make Call of Duty now. It's like, no,
Yeah.
like maybe let them do another Crash, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, because I imagine if Treyarch, Sledgehammer, or Infinity Ward went to Bobby Kotick and were like, yeah, we want to make something other than Call of Duty, he would have been like, no, you're a Call of Duty studio, make Call of Duty. Whereas I imagine at Xbox that might be slightly different considering what we've seen from them since they've started this big acquisition spree. WoW coming to console would be a very smart move because.
Well, hold on. You jumped ahead of it. You jumped ahead of it.
I?
Yeah, you jumped ahead of it.
I
That was
thought
that was a whole different question right there. I am going to get to that in a moment, though. I'm going to get to that in a moment.
Never mind.
In regards to their older franchises, I would, when it comes to Guitar Hero, I loved Guitar Hero 3. That was like the one I had and played a bunch. Like, man, Through the Fire and the Flames, some of the other, Barracuda, I love that song. Welcome to the Jungle. Oh my God, I love that game.
I think, was that the one with Number of the Beast by Iron Maiden?
I don't remember all the songs in that game.
Yeah.
I played that when I was a kid on the Wii. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But like, it's funny because people were saying like, oh man, bring Guitar Hero back. And then it came back a couple years ago, that and Rock Band. And those games, like the conversation around them died as quickly as they came.
Yep.
Like those games came back. And then like shortly after it was like, okay, that's a thing. No one's talking about them now. No one has talked about them for years since those games came out.
Yeah.
So I don't know how excited or like how much they would want to bring it back again. Like, all right, try this again for a third time, guys. Bring it back one more time and see what happens. I mean, it's not like I'd be against it, but I don't know what the chances are of it coming back over something like Spyro or Crash Bandicoot, which you can have one of your teams make a fun platformer for. You could have Toys for Bob do Crash. If Rare wanted to, maybe Rare could do a Spyro game or something. You know what I mean? Or one of the other studios. For Tony Hawk Pro Skater, hey, maybe you could get one of your studios to make one of those games too. Who knows? Or even you could see if you could make another Transformers game. Maybe High Moon wants to do something with Transformers. All right, let's bring them back. Let's let High Moon do that with Transformers again. I think that Activision had some good franchises back in the day that they've just gone away in pursuit of, we need money every year and Call of Duty makes us that money, so make the Call of Duties. But again, with Microsoft, being over them and allowing them the freedom to kind of make what they want or try out new things and new ideas and all like that, and not be beholden to Call of Duty every year. We need that Call of Duty money every year. I think that Microsoft would definitely handle those old franchises pretty well. I think they would know for sure. Well, let's do Crash. Let's try and bring back Spyro 2. Maybe Guitar Hero. We'll read the room on that one. We'll certainly read the landscape and see how that goes. But now let's talk about Blizzard. What about Blizzard and their games? Because Blizzard is an entity unto itself in a sense. They don't really put out too many games that often. Overwatch was the last big game that they put out. After that, yes, there was, I believe, one or two World of Warcraft expansions. They had Warcraft Reforged or Warcraft 3 Reforged, right?
Yeah.
Which kind of was a bust when that came out. Diablo 2 Remastered came out recently, and I think people generally like that. I didn't really read many reviews, but I think the reception to that was pretty good. Diablo 4 is in the works, has been for a while. Overwatch 2 is announced, and who knows when it's coming. Although Overwatch 2 itself is a conundrum in terms of like, why does this exist? As opposed to just updating Overwatch 1. StarCraft is a dead franchise right now. We haven't had a new entry or update for that in God knows how long. So it's like a question, like, all right, what are we gonna do with Blizzard now? What do we try? Do we just let them allow their games to cook and let them take their time making their games so the games come out good? Yeah. Do we kind of let them say, all right, you know what? Let's bring World of Warcraft 2 console. Do we try and actually make them say, you know what? let's bring StarCraft back. StarCraft's been gone for a while. We want you to bring StarCraft back. Or does Blizzard say, hey, Activision Bobby's not running the shots anymore. We can actually entertain the idea of doing some things with some of our franchises. So the StarCraft Ghost idea that got canceled. Maybe they say, you know what, let's actually try to pursue that a bit more. Let's try to make that work in this day and age. You get what I mean? Like, what are we thinking about Blizzard in their games?
Honestly, I think my first priority as Microsoft is getting Blizzard back on track, because World of Warcraft, yes, it's still doing insanely well. I looked up numbers for it just now. As of 2020, which was when something was last published about it, there was 4.88 million subscribers of World of Warcraft. Excuse me. Although it's doing quite well, it's still been declining over the last few years. Diablo, we haven't had a new Diablo game since May 15th, 2012. So a decade, basically. And I can't imagine that like a colossal number of people are still playing Diablo 3. Overwatch, like, it's doing well. It's still been declining a little bit over the last few years. So my first intention as Microsoft is, okay, fix the culture and fix Blizzard to get it back to this like pedigree studio that it once was, where, like World of Warcraft was once like one of the most popular games on the planet, and all of the things that Blizzard have done in the past, I get them back to that state. One way to do that, because Microsoft don't really have an answer for Final Fantasy 14, put WoW on console.
That's what I was thinking about.
Not only do you put it on console, you put it on Game Pass, get rid of the WoW subscription fee, and now you have at least, well, I don't want to say at least, because some of these people might already have a Game Pass subscription, but let's just say none of them do. You now have, 5 million extra monthly Game Pass subscribers just on PC alone?
I don't know if they would get rid of the subscription fee, but I can see them saying, if you're a Game Pass subscriber, you don't have to worry about a subscription fee.
Yeah, sorry, I phrased that wrong. That's what I meant. If it's on Game Pass, then you don't have to pay a subscription. Because I imagine
I could see that happening, because that'd be crazy to have them people double dip.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of that, you would then have a lot of conversion between the 4.88 million of the 4.88 million WoW subscribers, because instead of paying, I don't know how much WoW is monthly. I can't remember off the top of my head, but instead of paying, say, your $15 for WoW every month, then now you pay $15 for Game Pass Ultimate and have access to these 250 other games.
Exactly. I think they're definitely looking at World of Warcraft as like 14 is over there just raking in all the praise. We don't have a MMO like that on our end. And I mean, that just putting WoW on console isn't going to be like, all right, that's the answer. Like, World of Warcraft actually has to up the quality too. It has to be good. Like, part of the reason people have been leaving World of Warcraft is because a lot of people just haven't been fond of the updates and expansions in recent years. And 14, it's been just increasingly greater amounts of praise with every expansion and update and so on and so forth. So if they put WoW on console, people would like that. If they put WoW on console and then there are great things coming to WoW as well, then Microsoft would be like, all right, now we have our answer to 14 over here on our side. We don't need 14. We have our answer to 14 over here. That's kind of my take on the World of Warcraft side of things. But definitely, if they do that, just make Game Pass sub for it automatically be the World of Warcraft sub as well. Just do that for sure.
Yeah, because I was also going to point out that on the Activision side, if you, and I don't know if we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but just very briefly, because all future Activision Blizzard games will be coming to Game Pass day and date because they're first party studios. That is the thing that's going to happen. So now you will also have a massive surge in Game Pass subscribers off of Call of Duty alone, rather than paying $70, however, like $70, $60, whatever it's going to be up front. You can pay a Game Pass subscription and get Call of Duty on day one.
hmm Which is insane to think about.
Yeah.
That's actually insane to think about.
Yeah. So like, I mean, we were talking about on Tuesday when we recorded. It's like Call of Duty is the best selling game on both Xbox and PlayStation, or at least it was for last year. So obviously, not everyone who buys Call of Duty is going to then subscribe to Game Pass. Some already will be subscribed to Game Pass, and some of them won't agree with the Game Pass model, as we know a lot of people do. But I can see a large number of people saying, rather than paying $70, £70, £70 for this Call of Duty game, which I'm going to play, not a whole lot probably, then why would I not just buy a Game Pass subscription?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that overall with Blizzard, I think that I don't think that Microsoft will start like encroaching on them like Activision was starting to, trying to like demand like, hey, we need you to put out a game this year. We need money, put out a game this year. I think Microsoft will definitely be more like, Blizzard, take your time making your games. Take your time, let your ideas, flourish, let the games actually be great. So that when they come out, they're well received, they're getting great scores, they're being praised by your community. And people are actually like, okay, the Blizzard name on a game means something again. Because in recent years, it kind of that reputation started to tarnish. Not just excuse it, like aside from the lawsuit, just in terms of the game quality, like that, the name has started to tarnish some. And I know everyone at Blizzard definitely knows this. So I'm sure they're eager to try and fix that reputation. And Microsoft, I'm sure they would be like, all right, let's let you fix this. Let's help you fix this. What do you need from us? What do you need? What has to happen? And just making things happen so that Blizzard can get back to being the Blizzard that people remembered and loved and cherished, and started families over and formed communities around. And you have a freaking convention based around Blizzard and their games and all like that. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about Blizzard and their games. I mean, it's a bit tougher to talk about them since they don't have they have big franchises, but they don't put out stuff a lot.
No.
And when they do, like, it's meant to be an event. So we need the next one to be like that event.
One thing that I was going to bring up, I'm trying to scroll through and see if we're going to talk about this, but I don't think that you have it here. What do we think the future of BlizzCon and Overwatch League and Call of Duty, the esports Call of Duty, what do we think the future of that is?
I mean, I imagine they all just keep on going on. BlizzCon, I imagine Microsoft seriously sits down and talks with Blizzard leadership about like reimagining it to make sure that it's actually a safe place. But in terms of Overwatch League, Call of Duty League, I imagine they keep those things. I don't see any reason why they will shut them down, because like aside from them making money, they're also good promotional things. And I mean, it's nice to have it's also a step into esports for Microsoft. As far as I know, I don't believe Microsoft has like any real foot in the esports space. Sony kind of does. I know on PlayStation at least, like they have like weekly tournaments going on or stuff like that. And they also bought Evo last year, so there's that too. They have like inroads into the esports community, whereas Microsoft really doesn't. So doing this, I mean, outside of Halo, I guess like Halo could foster up an esports community, but getting Call of Duty League, the Overwatch League, and that's two big inroads into esports right there. And then you have BlizzCon. Now you have that and QuakeCon. Like you have two giant gaming conventions under your belt. Like I don't see any reason why they would stop those. I think they just let those keep on going and help them foster and flourish, just to be bigger, better events.
Yeah, I like there's no way that they're gonna say, okay, Overwatch League is cancelled and Call of Duty League is cancelled. Like they're not gonna do that. But I'm wondering how long it's gonna take them to adapt to actually running those, considering they don't run anything. They've never really ran anything like that.
I mean, I can't say just because I don't know any of the logistics behind all of that stuff and whatnot. But I mean, I'm sure it'll take some time. And again, COVID's also a factor in things too. So I mean, who knows when we even like have and like actual in-person convention stuff like that comes back for BlizzCon or Overwatch League and COD League, all like that. Like, who knows when that stuff actually comes back? So I mean, they have time to really sit,
Oh yeah.
think about it, figure it out, and all like that. Speaking about Microsoft though, and their angle on things, what they might do with stuff. What do we think is Microsoft's play here with this acquisition? What do we think they're trying to get at by purchasing Activision-Blizzard? Do we think it's just simple? We want IPs. We want more first-party studios, or do we think it's something more than that? I think my first question here and the second question kind of go hand in hand. So I mean, if you want to mix them up together, we can. Because my second question is: are there any not so obvious ways in which this acquisition could benefit Microsoft? And some things I have here in terms of like what we think their play could be. Do we think is it the metaverse? Because Satya Nadella and Kotick, they both mentioned the metaverse a bunch in their interviews and emails and so on and so forth. Is mobile their big play to try to step into the mobile space? Because Microsoft, they don't have anything in the mobile space. Yes, they have xCloud, but they don't have like any studios dedicated for mobile. Yeah. Activision, they not only do they have some studios, they have King with Candy Crush over there mobile, and they have COD mobile as well. And there's also Hearthstone on the Blizzard side of things. So like there's definitely big inroads into mobile over there with this new acquisition. Or do we think it's just, hey, we want more stuff for Game Pass? Or I mean, it could also be just like a giant combination of everything. Like, what are we thinking is like their angle here?
I do kind of think it's all three, but I also think that it's something else in that something Phil Spencer said. I can't remember. He said it a while ago, like their main competitors aren't Sony and Nintendo. Their main competitors are Amazon, Google, Facebook, like all these people who are getting into game development and are these like tech giants that they have the cash to start buying up, Activision, Blizzard, EA, Ubisoft. And that I think is a big part of this deal, is when they eventually do start stepping into the gaming space more prominently, they are going to look to see, okay, who can we buy to bolster our, who can we buy to bolster Stadia or Luna or Netflix Gaming, whatever they're going to, or whatever they call it. I don't know if they just call it Netflix Gaming, but
I think it is called Netflix Gaming. But like even Netflix, I think this week they kind of put out, I forgot if it was a statement or something, but I saw, if not this week, it was last week, about how Netflix is like, yeah, we're taking gaming seriously. Like we're really in this. We're really trying to be in this and not just be like dip our toes in. Like we're trying to like get us to the 5 foot deep end.
Yeah. And if you look at it, because I'm going to go a little bit more broad spectrum here, but Activision Blizzard was going to be sold to somebody, right? With all the stuff they're in now and the way their games have been going, eventually they would be sold, right? And the only people that would have the cash to do that are Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and Netflix, and Tencent as well. But like Sony doesn't have the cash to just go and spend $70 billion on Activision Blizzard, especially, well, no, you have other later, so I'll forgo that. But like, and of those companies, personally, I think Xbox has is like the lesser of four evils, considering they have the longest time in gaming and they have the most established like roots in that industry. I like
they know how the industry works. They know how they get the industry. They understand how things are, what people expect, the community, all that stuff.
Yeah, because if you look at like Google, to me, have not like they haven't dedicated themselves enough to Stadia. That's
God, if Google bought my Activision Blizzard, I would be like, all right, what's the countdown on when Activision Blizzard is sold again or gets shut down? Start the clock up, guys.
Yeah. So Google doesn't have the balls to buy Activision Blizzard in the state that they're in with Stadia, because they have not they're not entirely invested in Stadia. Amazon have taken more of like a grassroots approach to it, where it's instead of like going and buying studios, buying companies, they're like, no, we're just going to do it all ourselves. So I don't
Right.
think they would have bought them.
I mean, it's
And
worked out some mixed results. New
yeah,
World being like their one giant success.
yeah,
Um,
which is now not a success because there's like 100,000 people playing that game.
haven't really followed the numbers. That's interesting.
Yeah. Um, Tencent is more like Tencent, I think, is more like an investing company rather than okay, we're going to buy you and be really invested in how you like make games. We're going to help you make games, but I think they're just more like we
We
want.
want these companies for the money they
Yeah,
can make us.
yeah, exactly. And then God forbid if Facebook bought them, but um,
In order to play Call of Duty, sign in with your Facebook. Well, not your Facebook, sign in with your Meta account.
yeah. So like of everything, Microsoft is definitely like the lesser of all evils. That of the people who would have the ability to spend $70 billion in cash on a gaming company.
Yeah. And I agree with that. Like, again, when it comes to like lesser of these evils, 100%. And that's part of why I feel like my perspective on it and my pain on it changes some when I think about it. I'm like, yeah, that's true. Lesser of all the evils is definitely Microsoft over here. For sure.
Yeah, because if they weren't sold, I do think that eventually they would have just obviously not anytime soon because they have Call of Duty, they have Candy Crush and all that. Like they're not exactly strapped for cash. But I do think eventually they would start to crumble because you would have like because of their inability or their inability to want to get rid of Bobby Kotick is the way I'm going to phrase that, but I know I could phrase it differently. But because they didn't want to get rid of Bobby Kotick and under Bobby Kotick's leadership, there was never going to be any real change at Activision-Blizzard. Then like eventually you would have a falling out between the studios and leadership, and it would just go down a dark path that nobody wanted, and they would eventually sink. Which is why I think that they would be sold at some point, whether it's now or 5 years from now. But
right. And I think I do want to bring it back to like the original point you made, and also back to the question, just by saying like, yes, I do think that this was kind of a way to shore up, I guess you could say, their defenses against these other companies coming into the gaming space, and to further prepare themselves for the future where all these companies are coming into the gaming space, and you have all this competition from all these different angles and everything. It's just like, all right, we want to make sure that we are really set for our competing against them, and also competing in these other different fields, whether it be content wars, whether it be in the mobile space, whether it be in the metaverse, which, Facebook, Meta is trying to, like really push forward, and so on and so forth, which everyone's trying to really start their own metaverse. Epic with Fortnite, everyone's trying to like really push towards the metaverse. So I think it was because of that. I think that's like number 4, the fourth reason that I could have had here on the list. I should have put it here. I didn't think about it. Of just like shoring up defenses against all these other companies.
Yeah. So I didn't mean to take us like really off track of like the initial question, but yeah, I think all of the reasons I just said, and also Game Pass, are probably the two most prominent ones. Where like obviously they want more people subscribing to that service. They want as much dollars per month coming in as they possibly can get, so that service eventually becomes, I don't want to say eventually becomes sustainable, because I think it somewhat already is, but that service becomes like, their expenditures are like this, and then their profits like this. So that's the second reason. But any not so obvious ways,
I mean, I guess like what you just said, in terms of shoring up, like against the preparing for the other outside competition. Like, I mean, for me, that is the not so obvious way that this could benefit them, unless you can think of another one.
The only thing I can think of is I was watching the WAN show on Linus Tech Tips, and Luke on there. Well, I think both Linus and Luke were talking about how Microsoft's multiplayer services, especially on PC, are like worst in class. Like it's like if you look at like Epic Games or Steam or like anyone like that, then like Microsoft doesn't even compare. So there might be something they could do on that end with like the tech that Blizzard and Activision are going to provide.
That's right, because now they'll have BattleNet. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe that's another little thing that could benefit them as well. I didn't think about that. I wouldn't have thought about that. I'm not like a PC gaming person at all. But yeah, I definitely agree with like everything you were saying before about, you know, their inroads with whether it be mobile, Game Pass, metaverse, trying to defend against other companies that are coming into the gaming space. I do want to ask the question though.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, at this point, the price of Game Pass has to go up. Like we kind of mentioned it briefly on Tuesday, but the price has to go up. Of course, it's a question of when and by how much. It's no more an if. It was never an if before. It was always a when and by how much, but even more so, it's like, now when is this happening? So when do you think is going to happen? And by how much do you think it's going to go up by? It's currently $14.99 for Game Pass Ultimate. Correct. Yes, correct. $14.99 for Game Pass Ultimate. I mean, what do they bump this up to? What do they bump the price up to? When does it happen? If they bump the price up, do you think they add anything to it?
I think the price is going to go up like the day that this deal closes and the day that every Call of Duty game, Diablo game, well, maybe not Diablo because it's only Diablo 3 on. Well, actually, no, you've got Diablo 2 Resurrected, isn't in Game Pass just now. So, like, when all the Blizzard games are added, when this deal closes, that's when the price goes up. And I think that they would increase it, let's say, to $17.99.
You don't think they're going to go for $20?
I think $20 for a lot of people is going to be too big of a. I think the highest they would go is $18.99, but I think the full like $5 more a month is too big of a jump in one go for a lot of people to stomach, especially like not a lot. Well, I don't want to say not a lot. There will be people who are like, yeah, I don't really like Activision Blizzard games that much. I don't play any of them really. And I'm not paying an extra $5 a month just to get those games. So I'm just not going to pay for Game Pass.
Now, do you think they introduce tiers to Game Pass?
I
know we've talked about this idea before, gone back and forth on it and all, but do you think they do that? Do you think that when they do the price hike, they'll also have tiers as well?
I mean, it honestly just makes sense to do it when this deal closes and when they add those extra games because of the inevitable price increase that is going to happen. And if the cause of the price increase is this acquisition, or I mean, if the cause of the price increase is any acquisition, to be honest, whether it be, you know, this one or Ubisoft or EA or whatever they do in the future, then they're going to have to introduce tiers because, like I say, not everyone is going to want to pay an extra, let's say $3, $4, $5, $6 a month to play, you know, Activision Blizzard games as well as all the other games. So I don't see how they can not introduce tiers when they are adding more variety of publishers and developers into Game Pass inherently. The reason they didn't do it with EA is because EA Play came at no extra cost to Game Pass. So but when you're spending $70 billion on an acquisition, you want to make your money back as quick as possible. Increasing the price of your subscription services is a good way to do that. But you need to do it in a way where you're not going to lose some of your current subscriber base by offering something they don't want.
Yeah. So maybe they do like $12 a month because right now the base is $10. So maybe they do the base will be $12 a month, which is regular Game Pass and gets you all first party titles. And then maybe the next level up is $15 and that gets you all first party titles and so and like let's say like a majority of third party titles or maybe just or like all first party titles and all third party, right, that are on the platform. And then maybe the highest tier will be like, this is the tier that's say $18, whatever. And this tier has EA Play in it. And if Ubisoft Plus is going to be part of it, then this will be the tier that has Ubisoft Plus as well. And this is like the ultimate tier. Or maybe the $15 tier could be Game Pass Ultimate. And that one has all the services. You get your first party, your third party titles, and your Xbox Live and your xCloud, your streaming. And then the highest one is where you get, all right, now we get the extra subscription services that are on here as well. EA Play, Ubisoft Plus. Those are also bundled into your Game Pass Ultimate subscription at $18. Maybe that's something they do.
Yeah.
As a thought, if they want to tier it out, who knows? I mean, we've looked at we've thought of so many different permutations for how Microsoft can do tiers for Game Pass in so many different ways on so many different episodes of the show. And every time we do it, just like, maybe they could do it this way, maybe they could do it this way. And this just throws another wrinkle on stage where it's like, okay, well, maybe if you do it this way and angle it around like this, maybe it could work out in a smart way.
Yeah, at this point, it's like, hey, Microsoft, hire us to manage your Game Pass tiers because we have a lot of ideas.
Don't hire us. Don't hire us because we are not financial people. We don't know financial stuff. Don't hire us. But just think about what we're saying more so. Just think about what we're saying.
No, if you use my idea, I want a free Series X.
You already have one. You don't need a second.
Okay. I don't know that.
You don't need a second one. All right, we talked about Microsoft's angle on this all, but what about Sony? Because that is the biggest point of controversy in all of this. Well, arguably, it's one of the biggest points of controversy in all this. The Sony side of things and exclusivity. Of course, people are wondering, so what does this mean? So no more Call of Duty on PlayStation? No more Overwatch at all on PlayStation? What about Diablo 4? What about any other future? Like, what specifically though, Call of Duty?
Yeah.
What's up with that? Because again, as we said before, that is the biggest game that they have. That is the biggest game in the industry, arguably. It makes the most money annually. It has roots on PlayStation. Well, not roots in PlayStation.
Yeah, exactly.
And Xbox. Like it is in there. It is like a cemented part of those platforms. It is because it's such a cemented part of the industry, period.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we kind of didn't get answers for some of these questions. So we're Sony in all this. So Activision, and a part of an employee Q&A that was filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission, they kind of said in that they don't plan to remove existing games from PlayStation after this acquisition is done. So there's two different quotes I grabbed from there. The first one says, quote, "We will honor all existing communities post-close. As with Microsoft's acquisition of Minecraft, we have no intent to remove. We have no intent to remove any content from platforms where it exists today." End quote. The second statement says, quote, "Activision-Blizzard games exist on a variety of platforms today, and we plan to continue supporting those communities moving forward." End quote. Two, of course, no one can say anything definitive because deals are not done.
Nope.
But two statements where it's like you gotta read it dozens of times and from different angles to maybe kind of understand what they're saying, or say this is what they mean. No, this is what they mean. No, this is what they mean. The comma is here, so that means this now. The comma's over here, so it actually means this. It's very confusing. Nothing's actually clear. So we're gonna be in yet again another year of what do they mean? What do they mean? Just come out and say it all that you can. So that's part of the Sony thing there. Also, and I think this is what you were going to say earlier, but you paused on it. The day after this acquisition was announced, Sony's stock reportedly dropped by $20 billion in a day, which, of course, that is no small chunk of change right there. It reportedly dropped by nearly a third of what Microsoft paid for Activision-Blizzard. As just kind of like a way to show, like, hey, this is a big thing in the industry. Like, this is huge and a huge blow to PlayStation because, again, Call of Duty makes all the money. It was the best-selling game on PlayStation last year. I'm pretty sure it was for the past, I don't know how long. It just has been for a long time. So to lose that is to lose a lot of money that Sony would get from sales and microtransactions and so on and so forth, just like the cut that they would get. So like that's huge. So people were wondering, hey, what's Sony going to say? What are they going to do? Are they speaking out? Sony eventually did speak out. Eventually a spokesperson talk about just gave a small brief statement to the Wall Street Journal about the acquisition, saying, quote, "We expect that Microsoft will abide by contractual agreements and continue to ensure Activision games are multi-platform," end quote. Again, though, this brings up the question of, okay, so does this mean like contractual agreements? Okay, so games that are like Deathloop or Ghostwire, where the contract is already inked that the game will come to PlayStation, that we expect that to still happen. But the continue to ensure Activision games are multi-platform. Okay, so do you expect them to continue to make sure that all Activision games are multi-platform, or that just the ones that are contractually meant to come will come? Or what do you mean here? So things kind of got clarified a tiny bit. I think that same day today is the 20, no, on Thursday. Yep, on Thursday, when Phil Spencer, that afternoon, he tweeted out, "Had good calls this week with the leaders at Sony. I confirmed our intent to honor all existing agreements upon acquisition of Activision-Blizzard and our desire to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. Sony is an important part of our industry and we value our relationship." So immediately, what everyone immediately thought was, Call of Duty is going to stay on PlayStation. He said, we're going to honor all existing agreements, and he confirmed our desire to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. It's staying there. Wow, huge, crazy. And then people read it again and again. And people were like, wait a minute, though, hold on. He said our desire to keep playing Call of Duty on PlayStation. He did not say our intent to. He did not say our need to. He did not say we will. He said our desire, which means we want to. But that is not a solid confirmation that it is definitely happening. Which then brought up a whole nother set of discussions of, okay, will they? Will they not? Who has the leverage here? Who has the bargaining chips? Who has the power in this conversation of getting Call of Duty on PlayStation? Is it going to be a case of, okay, we'll put it on PlayStation, but Sony gets but Microsoft gets like a cut of like every sale on PlayStation?
Yeah.
Is it going to be a thing of, I don't know, like maybe PlayStation gets it the same day, like day and date as Xbox, but it's just on Game Pass, so you don't have to pay $70 on Xbox? Is it a thing of it still comes to PlayStation, but it just comes like a month later or a few weeks later on PlayStation and it's first on Xbox? Is it day and date for both, but Xbox gets like exclusive stuff like how PlayStation has been for the past couple years? Or, and here's the big or, which I've seen a couple people throw this out, and this is what I'm talking about, what I've been saying, the insidious side of things, is Microsoft saying, is what they're kind of talking about behind closed doors. You all can get Call of Duty, but you gotta let Game Pass on PlayStation.
Yeah.
And that, I said it last year, that is the insidious, shady side of things, where it's like, Microsoft wants Game Pass on as many platforms as possible. That's fantastic. That's great. You love to see it. You want to see it as many places as possible. It'd be a cold day in hell before Nintendo or PlayStation lets that happen, unless they have no choice but to. Unless Microsoft buys the publishers of these games that are well known on PlayStation, that are typically on PlayStation. If Microsoft buys them and says, hey, they're wherever Game Pass is. If you want these games on your platform, you gotta let us put Game Pass on there. That's insidious and that is shaky. And that's the side of things I don't like. Because it's like you're just holding them hostage, holding them by the you-know-whats to say, hey, you want it. I know you want it, but let us put Game Pass on there. Let us put Game Pass on there. It's just like, why would they, unless they had no choice but to? Unless they had no choice. So that's the big talking point now. That is the big talking point now in regards to that. What do you think? What do you think will happen with that?
So as I said on Wednesday, I genuinely don't see a way in which Call of Duty, the mainline games, remain Xbox are made Xbox exclusive, at least on console. I don't see how they can financially do that. I mean, yes, Microsoft are one of the richest companies in the world, and yes, they already make a crap ton of money from all the other games.
I
But
mean, remember what Phil Spencer said with the Bethesda thing? Granted, smaller deal, but he was like, yeah, he was like, well, hypothetically, like I could make a deal like this where like I don't need to put it on platforms and it still works for us financially. Like that can happen.
yeah,
He granted again, smaller deal, much smaller games in terms of sales too. But I just wanted to put that out there again.
yeah, and like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they're not going to do it. I'm not saying that like it's absolutely impossible that this is going to happen, but I genuinely just don't see a way in which it does, considering Call of Duty sells billions of dollars every year. Why would they leave hundreds of millions, if not billions, of money they would get from the version on PlayStation? Why would they just leave that on the table? Like
All
that,
because they want to drive Game Pass.
but
All because of that.
But you need to weigh up how many people you are going to convert from PlayStation to Xbox purely because of Call of Duty versus the number of people that you would get monetarily if you just put it on PlayStation. Because I can guarantee you there will be some people who are like, oh my God, I need my Call of Duty fix. I'm going to go out and buy a Series S or a Series X. But you are not going to have, I'm going to see even 50% of the fan base of Call of Duty on PlayStation go, okay, I'm going to go and buy an Xbox to keep playing this game. Like,
I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying that 50%, but I would not be surprised if a sizable chunk of people do just to play Call of Duty.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised. Because Call of Duty is just like that cultural juggernaut.
Yeah.
That gaming juggernaut where like it has that power. No matter how average the game is looking, just like this year and Cold War, no matter how average, it will still be the best-selling game because people will play it. Like casual fans, hardcore, what have you. So I am certain, again, we got to think about the fact that there are some people who play only a couple games per year. They just play the Call of Duty and like a sports, like 2 sports games or what have you. And that's it. They're not like people who play a bunch of different games. Those people, they will go to wherever they got to play their Call of Duty. If that means they got to buy another console, they will buy another console. Or if that means, oh, I can stream it on Game Pass. What? I'll do that. Oh, wait, the performance isn't that great. Guess I got to buy an Xbox just to play my Call of Duty. Like, I don't know if I'd say you're underestimating, but people will do it. I feel like more people than you think will do it. See, and that is the thing. Like, it's like Microsoft knows the power that they have with Call of Duty. That one game right there, they know the power they have. Just like any company would know the power they have if they had GTA exclusive to them. We've talked about this before. If you have GTA exclusive to you, you know you have everyone by the balls. You do.
Yeah, and like
especially in this day and age where GTA has blown up way more than it was back in the PS2 era and the era of GTA 5 and GTA Online, you put that exclusive, the next one exclusive to any platform, you are getting people to come to your platform for GTA. No matter what they got to do, they will come to it. GTA and Call of Duty are the 2 games in the industry that have that type of power.
Yeah. Okay, well, I somewhat disagree with you on it because I don't think that there is going to be that many people who are like, I'm going to go out and spend $300 just to play this one game a year. There will be people who do it. I understand. I'm not saying there aren't people, but I don't think there is going to be a significant chunk of Call of Duty's player base that is going to do that. Subsequently, if they make Call of Duty exclusive to Xbox, I can see there being a massive riot on by PlayStation users, to the point where I can see them saying either put Call of Duty on PlayStation or we are going to stop spending money in Warzone. We're going to stop playing Warzone. Because there are other battle royales. Like, yes, Call of Duty is the name recognition, but you have Apex, you have PUBG. I'm not including Fortnite because Fortnite is different to Apex and PUBG, where you're not just like having to, find and kill people and be number. You also have to build. So I'm not including Fortnite in that. But
Fortnite is a juggernaut of its own anyway.
yeah, exactly. So it's like you have other battle royales you can play, and I really don't think it's going to be that big of a deal for people who play Warzone on PlayStation to be like, okay, we're just going to play Apex from now on, or we're going to play. Yes, it's going to be a massive change, and yes, there is going to be some like not everyone is going to be on board with that, but I can see there being a massive riot where people like either put Call of Duty on PlayStation, or we're going to stop playing Warzone, or at least we're going to stop spending money on Warzone.
But you see, here's the thing: I can see Microsoft being like, "Okay, do that."
Yeah, no, yeah, I
do
can see
that.
them being like, "Okay,
that's totally fine," and we don't care. You want to play? Get Game Pass. Do that in order to play. But and I could easily see them do it. Like I could see them maybe like putting out some talk like, like we do care. We want you all. We're sorry and stuff. Like the South Park, we're sorry. We're sorry. And then you'll have people at Treyarch and Infinity Ward and Sledgehammer or what have you, putting out their like their statements like Phil Spencer, Phil from whatchamacallit, Todd Howard and other dude from
Pete Hines.
Pete Hines. That's the P I was thinking of. Pete Hines and Todd Howard. Like you'll have the two of them saying like, I feel your pain, guys. Like, I'm sorry. It's above me. It's not my decision. Like, I feel bad for you and I completely understand. Like, you'll have people saying those statements again if that happens. And Microsoft will just be like, get Game Pass. You all can be mad as you want.
Yeah.
And be mad, stay mad, get an Xbox or get Game Pass. Because that's what we care about. We don't care about whether or not you were playing on PlayStation for the past decade and a half. Get Game Pass if you want to keep doing that.
Yeah. There are a couple of tweets from Destin Liguri that I want to read because I actually agree with them. To an extent.
Hold on before you read them. Is it that first one where he says like Spider-Man, Wolverine, so on and so forth? Is it okay? I say this without being disrespectful. I'm about to tune you out. I'm going to tune you out because I genuinely don't care.
Okay.
Like
I will not read them.
I read them. I saw them. And he's a smart guy. He's a cool guy. Yet and still, it's a case where I'm just like, why are we twisting facts and to fit a narrative? That's like not totally true. And like apples and oranges.
Okay.
And it's also just like straight up console war bait.
Oh yeah.
Like that is clearly a console war bait tweet. And this acquisition and the Bethesda one just constantly crop up those tweets. Like when the Bethesda one first happened and then when the deal closed, like all I saw for weeks were just tweets like this that it becomes tiring. It's tiring seeing these tweets over and over and over again. Not just from like regular people, but also from people in the industry and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's cropping up again this week. And I keep seeing them. And I saw his and I was just like, it ain't even the same. Like you're doing apples and oranges, but you're trying to say it's apples and apples, but it's not. It is not. And I have a perfect analogy in my head for like this entire situation to clearly explain it to people. I want to write it out, but it's essentially an analogy of a playground and how this playground gets broken up in a way that is just so unfair for everyone who plays in that playground. I got to write it out and I'll tweet it out at some point in time if I actually feel like it. But yeah, no, I know what tweets talking about. I genuinely do not care.
Okay. I won't say them then.
No disrespect to you. I don't mean to shut you down.
100%.
It angers me. It just angers me and annoys me. And I'm tired of those conversations.
We will move on because that was the last thing I was going to say.
Okay. Cool. Fantastic. Because I guess kind of like I guess the last thing I want to talk about in regards to Sony is what do they need to do then? what does Sony need to do now that Activision games will seemingly be exclusive, and what should they not do? So what do they need to do? I have a couple things here. Do they really need to invest in quote unquote Spartacus, their Game Pass competitor, and make it like a really strong competitor? Like, do they need to say, all right, you know what, we weren't doing day one before, but now we need to? Do they need to make their own big acquisitions like this, like publisher type acquisitions? I don't want them to, but do they need to do that now? Do they need to invest in more partnerships and exclusivity deals like they have been? Do they just need to continue on as they have, where just like, all right, our first party exclusive titles are our bread and butter. We need to just double down and make those even better, and so on and so forth. Do they need to start, introducing new ideas into regards to the games, like start branching out into different genres and all? Because PlayStation doesn't really have a big name first person shooter right now. Killzone and Resistance have kind of gone by the wayside. There is no big first party RPG, no big first party multiplayer game. Do we need to start branching out? And it seems like they are with these partnerships that they're doing, but do they need to kind of start doing those and also bring in more unique, weird ideas for like first party games? Do they need to start doing that to make PlayStation more enticing and stand out a bit more from Xbox? Or, as we said before, do they need to let Game Pass on a PlayStation? And for this, I grabbed a quote from this Jeff Grubb op-ed over at GameSpeak. It's near the end of his whole piece. I'm going to read it here. He says, quote, Sony services could benefit from appearing next to Xbox services on a PlayStation. On top of that, this would turn PlayStation 5 into the only place where you could get both PlayStation and Xbox games on day one. But Sony should act on this sooner rather than later. Today, it still holds a lot of bargaining chips. Call of Duty makes a lot of money on PlayStation, and PS5 sales are not going to slow down. Sony could dictate strong terms for revenue sharing and what games could actually appear on a PlayStation version of Xbox Game Pass. For example, Sony could demand that Xbox limit it to only first-party games. Maybe that would break the deal, but I doubt it. The point is that Sony's position will likely only diminish over time. It could get the best deal today. A few years from now, Sony could find itself having to let Microsoft determine more of the parameters of the deal, end quote. And his whole argument, his whole piece is basically saying, hey, if Sony's going to try and do it, they need to do it now, because Game Pass only showing signs of growing and becoming bigger and bigger. Yeah. And the bigger it gets, the harder it will be to hold any bargaining chips at all in this. So what are we thinking they need to do?
I don't think they need to let Game Pass on PlayStation. I honestly think it would be a smart business decision to let Game Pass on PlayStation, but they don't need to. And like you say, it's probably going to be a cold day in hell before that happens. So
right, especially when they're about to launch their own service.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, why would you launch your own service and then have Game Pass come on there? Not saying in the same year or even within the same, like month or whatever, but like that. But like, why would you do that when your own service hasn't even like grown to a point where you're comfortable having another competing service on the same platform?
Yeah, because I mean, a smart business way to look at it would be to invest in Spartacus for 2 or 3 years, and then say, okay, Spartacus has done this well or this poorly in these years. What can we do about it? And then at that point, I would say Game Pass would be a good solution to maybe the poor performance of Spartacus. Perhaps, again, it's not released yet. We don't really have any details. I don't know if it's going to do poorly or not. It probably won't. But say it does, then Game Pass would look like a better and better option. Mm-hmm. I don't want them to, like you. I don't. Well,
I don't want them to because, again, I'm not with this consolidation stuff. It just cuts off so many people. It cuts off so many people from games that they would ordinarily be able to play.
Yeah. This might actually be a good time to read another tweet that I had in mind by John Cormack.
I don't know if I've seen this. I don't follow him. I see some of his tweets pop up from likes or like, hey, it's part of this topic, but I don't follow him or anything.
And this is honestly how I kind of feel about this sort of thing. It still concerns me a bit, but Jeff Katz at Crane on Twitter asked John Carmack.
For reference, who is John Carmack? For people who may not know.
John Carmack, I keep saying Carmack was the co-founder of ID Software. I think is that
Yeah.
their name? Yeah, ID Software. Who helped create like Quake, Wolfenstein, Doom, and then eventually left and went to help the Oculus get to market.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm just going to call him Crane. Crane asked, "Are you concerned about the monopolization of so much IP plus power within one ecosystem / platform player?" And John Carmack replied, "Quote, I don't have super strong opinions about it, but a small handful of very, very strong game publishing companies doesn't seem obviously worse to me than 50 struggling ones. And with the rising cost of making games, eventually everyone is going to struggle unless you have a bunch of money behind you. So, like again, I'm not 100% for it because it is consolidation, but at the same time, if the result of that consolidation is giving the teams you consolidate better resources and more funding, I'm for it in that sense because it doesn't necessarily. Again, you will not agree with me, but this
Mhm.
might. I don't see this consolidation as entirely bad. I don't see this
I mean,
consolidation
I
as
agree on that point. I totally do. Like I've said many times, it's like there's good stuff to come from it.
yeah, and like 90% of the time, a monopoly will always screw you. Like that's history is the biggest indicator of what the future will bring. And if you look at the history of monopolies in terms of like an industry, then 90% of the time they are going to screw you. But I don't get the vibe considering what Microsoft has been doing that is what their intent is. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but I don't think that their intent is to screw you. I think their
Mhm.
intent is genuinely to bring more games to more people as best as they possibly can. And the reason that I say that's their best intent, and again, this I don't necessarily agree with this, but it's PlayStation's decision not to have Game Pass on their system. I
Mhm.
agree with them right now because it doesn't make sense, but at the end of the day, it's PlayStation's decision.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, getting back to your like initial question, like if they want to make their own big acquisitions, I'm not going to fault them for it because they're just adapting to the circumstance they've been given.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily want anyone to acquire anyone else because at that point you are getting a bit too monopolized
Yeah.
in an
And
industry.
consolidated. And I mean,
Yeah.
like, and I don't want them to either, but like I could see like the possible need for it in
Yeah.
like we mentioned before, content and services are kind of like where things are starting to move more towards.
Yeah.
And if you if you're gonna need content or services on your platform or what have you, you might need to, buckle down and do some of these big acquisitions. You might need to buy a Square, buy a Capcom, buy a Sega, a Ubisoft, what have you, to ensure that hey, we got these games over here. We have this content on our platform for our consumers, our customers. And this makes our platform more enticing and exciting than our competitor who has this content over there for their services and all like that.
Yeah.
It's like Sony is they're more hardware focused right now. And Spartacus, I think, will be a sign of whether or not, well, how prepared they are to start shifting towards service. And if they want to go all in on service, like Xbox is with Game Pass, if they want to still do service and hardware like an equal importance, or if they just hold the service in less importance than the hardware. It's Spartacus, I think, will be a strong indicator of Sony's future direction and where they kind of intend to go with things.
Yeah. Kind of going to your question actually of what can they not do? They can't at least have the idea of fully investing in Spartacus. Like they can't go into that just simply because they need an answer to Game Pass. They need to do
Like
it
as a
because
half measure.
yeah, they have to do it because they have to do it because they want to and they have something they can genuinely bring to that market. Because if you try and copy the exact same thing that Game Pass is doing, you are 5 years behind. It's going to take you so long to catch up. So
Well, I mean, based on the rumors, it's already not going to be the same as Game Pass.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, there's not going to have day one launches. It's going to be simply. It seems like it's just going to be PlayStation Plus with PlayStation Now in it as well.
Yeah.
Who knows what other official details there are that we don't know? Who knows how the service grows? But I mean, as of right now, it already seems like it will be behind Game Pass.
Yeah. No, I mean, like it's always going to launch behind Game Pass because Game Pass has had 5 years to grow and evolve and learn and figure out exactly where it fits within the Xbox ecosystem and exactly what Xbox have to do to keep that service growing and keep that service appealing to people. So it's always gonna launch behind Game Pass. It's just how quickly does it catch up and overtake? Because
even if it doesn't overtake, but at least like catch up and then just stay like in the race.
Yeah. And I honestly think Spartacus has the potential to overtake Game Pass purely because PlayStation has the bigger market share than Microsoft does. Like there are more PlayStations than there are Xboxes in people's homes. So I think that PlayStation has the opportunity with Spartacus to overtake Game Pass at some point, but they're going to have to work extremely hard on it, and they are not allowed to go into it half baked.
I saw someone tweet. It wasn't a notable person, I believe. I think it was just like a random person. In the replies to the tweet about the article that Jeff Grubb did, where someone had said, I screenshotted it. Let me see. Oh no, that's not what I wanted. So someone here said, wait, was this it? Hold on. Oh, I hope if PlayStation gets Game Pass, Xbox players get some incentive, i.e. PlayStation games on Xbox.
That'll never happen.
Yeah, like I don't think that would happen. The rest of their tweet kind of goes into weird stuff. Oh, I think here that this is actually what I was looking for. Someone responded to that and said, I don't think you would see Game Pass on PlayStation. So Sony had a similar service they could offer on Xbox for this very reason. In terms of if you put PlayStation, if PlayStation gets Game Pass, right? Then Xbox loses like all their stuff and like gets nothing in return, right? So then that's why the person here said, I think if you see Game Pass on PlayStation, then Xbox could get PlayStation's alternative, and then everyone wins.
Yeah.
And I think I liked that idea. I think that's actually
that's really good.
Interesting, exciting idea.
The only thing that gives me pause on that is Sony hasn't typically been very cooperative with industry change.
Stuff like that, like crossover stuff like that and all. Yeah.
Like Microsoft had to drag Sony through broken glass to get them to do crossplay. Like I'm not saying it's impossible. It's just Phil
would be an even colder day in hell before that happened.
Phil Spencer would have to go in there with like the best presentation he has ever presented in his life.
So instead of selling the Toyota, he would have to sell the Lamborghini.
Like, no, it's like when somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about goes on Shark Tank. You have to like you would really have to get in there and like prove why this would work.
Like, it's I think that there's a very slimmer chance of that happening than absolutely. Just Game Pass coming to PlayStation. But I like that idea.
Yeah, so do I. I
think
love it.
That is a future that I could possibly see happening. Like we never thought we would see the crossplay conversation happen, and then that happened. So I mean, I could see that being a possibility here, where like 2 years down the road, right? Let's say Spartacus is doing great, Game Pass is doing great. 3 years down the road, let's say 3 years. That seems a bit more likely. Say 3 years down the road, we hear both services doing great. I could see one day we wake up and there's an article that says Xbox Game Pass coming to PlayStation and Spartacus is coming to Xbox. Now, literally it literally does not matter what box you play on. That's the box you play on is literally just down to preference about your ecosystem. And I guess whatever the services are offering on alternative platforms. So if literally the services are just, hey, you get that other platform's first party games, then it really just boils down to, all right, now where do I feel comfortable playing?
Yeah, and the reason I was laughing is in my head I was like launching in 2035 the X Station 1, where you have like,
oh dear
God,
not
like Microsoft has bought Sony, but like there's a collaborate, like there's no more boundaries, there's no more hostility, everyone's working together, you have a collaboration between Xbox and PlayStation on a console, and that's like the main thing that people buy. Like that, I think that would be awesome, but at the same time, like there is absolutely no way in hell that's ever happening.
Okay, so I think that another thing that they do need to like, all right, continue fortifying their first parties in terms of like what those games are, the quality of those games. I do also think that they should start to try and branch out their genres that they have with their games, because again, everyone talks about Sony third-person action adventure story-based narrative over the shoulder type game. And it's like those are great games that they have and everything and all. But I think with this new acquisition, the ones Xbox has been doing, they're gonna need to start bringing in new genres for their first-party games. And I mean that's part of why we've seen them make the partnerships that they have. With Deviation, where for a multiplayer game, we got Haven doing whatever the heck that is they're doing. The rumored Twisted Metal is supposed to be coming back next year as like a live service game. All sorts of things. I think they're making these moves with partners and not necessarily with their in-house first parties, but I think that they will do it with their in-house first parties at some point. And I forgot, there's also the aspect of VR, PSVR. They still have that in their belt of this makes PlayStation unique. But hopefully they invest in PSVR in a way to, in the sense that they put the actual support behind it, like some good games, some good quality first party support behind it, so that PSVR itself doesn't end up being like money and time wasted on this when they could have been doing it on building up their own service and stuff to kind of ward off Xbox and Game Pass. Yeah. It's gonna be interesting what they do. But they most definitely, for sure, cannot rest on their laurels and sit back. They cannot do that, because now more than ever, Xbox is on them. Xbox is like, it is on them and poised to stamp them out. And that is scary. That is very scary, which is, again, it's part of the consolidation fear I have. It's a big part of it. And it's really going to be interesting where the gaming landscape is in like 5-6 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Where things are, where companies are, and all like that. It's going to be very different in 5 years.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is like, I know I've said I'm somebody who's not like super worried about consolidation, and I read that tweet from I've forgotten his name again.
Dustin?
No.
John Carmack.
John Carmack, thank you. And like I read that where it's like, I like it made it seem like I'm not 100% on the consolidation train, which I'm not, but I don't want to live in a world where Microsoft is the only console manufacturer. Like they run PlayStation out of business, and I mean, I suppose Nintendo. I don't think it would affect Nintendo too much, because Nintendo kind of.
But I mean, like, these third parties also put games on Nintendo, specifically like Square Enix, Capcom, Sega. They put games on Nintendo. Ubisoft, if they buy them, Nintendo is definitely like going to start feeling the hits too. Like, Nintendo didn't really feel it with Activision. They didn't really feel it with Bethesda. You get one of these other third parties under Microsoft, or even Sony. You get one of them under those, then Nintendo starts to feel the heat. Yeah, because Nintendo's like, that means no more Monster Hunters if you buy our Capcom. No more like spin-off Persona games if you buy Sega. No more Octopath or Project Triangle. No more of those weird games. If you buy Square Enix, like done.
Yeah.
And those companies definitely help do a lot of, I don't want to say heavy lifting, but they definitely do help support Nintendo.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
100%.
that's just a giant cut right there. And so Nintendo, I'm sure Nintendo's looking right now like, you're not about to start stepping on our toes, right? Please don't. Please don't.
Yeah. Yeah. So like I'm not 100% on the consolidation train, but it is somewhat of a concern for me at least.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess that could be like the start of our final thoughts right there of just this acquisition as a whole. I keep saying it. This is a great thing for Xbox owners. It's a great thing for Xbox, the company. It's a great thing for Microsoft. And this is potentially a very great thing for the employees at Activision-Blizzard.
Yeah.
For everyone over there that has been suffering through all types of crunch, harassment, terrible workplace culture, so on and so forth, you name it. Everyone over there deserves a safe, welcoming, inclusive workplace where they're able to have fun, enjoy coming into work, leave at a reasonable hour, come in at the right time, leave at the correct time, and not have to look over their shoulders or about someone treating them poorly and what have you. They all deserve so much better than they've been given and treated in the past years, past decades, you could say, like you could even go back. So I'm hoping to God that Microsoft does right by them. I'm sincerely hoping that they do, because those are the people that are going to be the most directly affected by this acquisition. So they need to be treated right. On the other hand, the consolidation concerns are concerning and worrying, even more so than they were last year with the Bethesda one. It's grown even larger. This is going to have a major effect on the industry as a whole. Not just Sony, not just Nintendo. It's going to have a major ripple effect across the industry, because I can guarantee you now, Microsoft bought Bethesda. They've now bought Activision-Blizzard. Guarantee you now, we're going to start seeing more companies start buying up other big companies to try and fight off other people, to try and make sure that they have these games and what have you. It's gonna get dirty. It's gonna get nasty. It's gonna get really weird and interesting and fascinating to see over the next couple years. It's gonna get rough. In terms, people's feelings are gonna get hurt. Like, no, why them? Why this? Why that? But we started on the slippery slope. We have gotten pushed all the way down the slippery slope with this acquisition. And I just hope that that Microsoft does right by not just them, but not just by the employees, but also the gamers, the fans of these games. I hope that any other company that starts jumping into this realm of acquiring stuff, I hope that they do right by other people and so on and so forth. It's complicated. It's complicated, but the one thing we can all say for certain is that this is absolutely fascinating. It's fascinating seeing this happen, and I'm very intrigued to see just how this plays out going forward.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to leave it, because I have basically all the same thoughts as you do.
And with that, we're wrapping up our deep dive into all the Activision Blizzard stuff, which has basically taken up this entire podcast. It's been our topic of discussion this week. We're going to jump into what we've been playing. I don't have too much to say. So I'll just go first real quick. Did a bit of Halo Infinite this week for the attrition, the Cyber Shadow event that got going on. I played some of the attrition game mode. It's cool. It's fun. It's basically a shared pool lives mode. So 2 teams, you have 8 shared lives for your entire team. Yeah. And once all the teams are out, if you die, you're out. A teammate can revive you. But if everyone on the team dies when there are no lives left, you lose the round. Best of 3 wins. It's fun. It's a cool game mode. I knocked out like 8 of the challenges in one night. And all honestly, I actually knocked out like almost all my weekly challenges for the week in that one night. I played for like 3 hours or so. I was very proud of myself. The challenges aren't hard either. I mean, like, it's like get X amount of kills with the sidekick, get X amount of kills with the assault rifle, play these amount of matches, win these amount of matches, get assists. Very easy challenges, easy to do. So I enjoy that game mode. I hope to keep it as a permanent one after the event's done. So it's cool. And I started Far Cry 6. I am not too far into it. I guess you could say I've played about 5-6 hours. I am doing the first section with the Montero family, all of them. In terms of story stuff, without saying spoilers, the last big story event that happened was the event at the bell tower at the church. That was the last big thing that happened. If you played the game, you know what I mean. If not, you're in for a ride. That was the last big thing that happened story-wise. Other than that, I've done some side stuff. I don't know how I feel about the gear system. It seems like, all right, we're kind of, I don't want to say it seems like complex because it's not complex, but it's just like, why do we gotta have a gear system like this? Like gear with like putting a mod on our gear to give me perks and all. It's just, I don't know. Like it's fine. And like I've gotten used to it and starting to understand it more, but I'm just like, could we not have done this actually? Like I kind of preferred, I mean, it's been a bit since I played Far Cry 5, but I prefer the simplicity that game had in terms of like gear, I guess you could say. The Supremos are cool though. I've only used the rocket one, the one that shoots the missiles actually into the air. But that's cool. I'm like, I see a helicopter. All right. And just thank you. Automatic KO. That's cool. I have two of the amigos. I only have Chorizo and Guapo. They're cool. They're fine. The one major critique I have against this game, AI is terrible. AI is bad. Both ally and enemy. Ally AI, they are stupid. Like, why is Guapo sitting there looking at the enemy? It's like, like attack it. Yeah, attacks and oh Jesus, you missed. All right, try again. You missed again. All right, try again. I'm standing here watching. And just, all right, I'll just kill myself then. I want you to get your 50 kills for you to upgrade your ability, but you can't even kill one person. Come on now. And as for enemy AI, they're not stupid per se, but they're not good either. They're just kind of like, all right, we're just walking meat. Like we're just walking targets essentially. So yeah. Oh, also, I'm not really that big a fan of how like I go into an enemy area and I kill everyone I see, but then people just randomly respawn in the area. Like I was doing one of the missions where you have to clear out, like torch the plants, right? Torching the plants and all. And before I'm like, all right, I shoot, I'm like snipe the people I see. I'm like, cool, fantastic. I walk in, I'm like, all right, I see someone over there. Bam, shoot them. There is no one else. There's no one in the area. I killed them all. Fantastic. Cool. I start burning stuff. Turn around. Where'd you come from? You were not there. I just looked over there. No one was there. And I killed everyone. I'm just like, why? I just killed the person in the tower. I know no one's in that tower. And the next thing I know, I'd turn around. I'd look this way, do something else. I turn around and there's someone in the tower. It's like, why are we just randomly spawning enemies? Like I killed everyone in the area. Let them stay dead. Let them stay dead. I earned this clear enemy-free area. Let me have that. Please and thank you. But I mean, aside from that, the game's been fine so far. I do like Danny. Danny's cool. I like some of the characters so far. Some of the characters are really cool so far. I don't have any strong feelings too far, like to say about like the story itself. Started off a bit intense to say the least. To say that much. I'm liking Giancarlo. He's cool. I'm interested to see where his and Diego's relationship goes forward and like how each of them develops and stuff. But other than that, I don't have too much more to say. Again, I'm only like 5 or 6 hours in, so I do plan to play some more tomorrow and tonight. Probably tonight. If not tonight, I'll play some Halo tonight. But I'm definitely gonna play some more over the weekend.
Yeah, just real quick. That's one of my biggest complaints with Far Cry 6 is like they just keep randomly throwing enemies at you for no reason. I hate it. I hate about the game so much. So 3 of these games, well, actually, kind of all of them. I don't really have a huge amount to say. I played like 2 hours and Nobody Saves the World. It's fun so far. You can like the forms you can change into are quite fun to play as. Like there was one point where I unlocked the Ranger, and like these guards would only let me through this like checkpoint if I was because they needed a ranger to take a message across. So it's like each form has a use like outside of combat as well.
Okay.
That's really all I have to say on it. Like, I haven't played a huge amount. Like you earn stars to unlock doors, which I'm not like a big fan of, because it's like, you might be like 1 star away and then you have to go and do like half an hour of work to get this other star for something that like just doesn't seem like you should need that amount of stars to open. But I'll have more to say on that when I play more of that game, but I've only played it for maybe like an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Got it. I have it on my Game Pass library. I wanted to play it this week. I just never had the time to sit down and play it.
Yeah.
So I'll play that over the weekend in addition to Far Cry. I'll see. I do want to jump into it though.
I've played the like training exercise for Rainbow Six Extraction. It plays a lot like Rainbow Six Siege.
That's exactly what I've read.
Yeah. Like it's okay. It's not terrible so far. Like it's not like hugely enjoyable, but it's not enjoyable.
It's fine.
Yeah,
it's a fine way to just like kill time, kind of sort of for you right now. Like turn your brain off and just like, all right, let me just do this.
Yeah. The one thing I have that I don't like about it is so basically the way it works is you go through, I think they're called like incursions or something, where like you basically go to this area that's been infested by the parasite, and you do there's 3 areas. So the first one, you collect a sample from this like higher level enemy. I don't know what their name is.
Yeah.
Second area, you put like trackers in these like nests to get information. Then the third area is you have to rescue an MIA operative. So like somebody who went down in a last mission, and then you have to like free them from this parasite tree. And that's the one I have issue with, where you need more than one person to do that. Because so you need to pull them out of this tree, but the tree fights back. So you need to like go and destroy these like 3 or 4 places the tree's drawing power from. But then while you're going to destroy them, you also have to keep pulling on the operator. So they don't get sucked into the tree permanently. And that's why I have issue with it. It's like I can't do 2 things at once. I can't,
That's where the co-op aspect of things really comes into play.
Yeah, exactly.
Where if you're playing with others, like it's not that difficult.
Yeah, exactly. You can have one person pulling and the other 1 or 2 people going off and destroying these things. So that's my main concern with it, is like, to get the best loot, or I don't know if they have a loot, but to get the best rewards for the end of the mission, you have to do the 3rd area, which you can't really do by yourself.
I see. Interesting. Okay. I haven't played it. I kind of have no interest in playing it. Never really have. Yeah. So I don't think I'm missing anything by not playing Extraction, even if it is on Game Pass.
Yeah. And Horizon Zero Dawn, that's really all I've been playing this week properly, because I think when I last spoke, I was like 2 or 3 hours. In fact, when I last updated,
you said you just did like the proving or something.
No, I think the last time I was just before the proving.
Oh, okay.
Is where I was. Now I am just a way to go to the Citadel where the shadow cards are. So like I
vaguely remember that.
Yeah. I didn't realize there was an in-game tracker you can look at how many hours you've played. I've played 13 hours. So
nice.
Yeah. So I've played an additional like 9 or 10 hours this week. So I'm a bit into that game. I'm not halfway done yet, because I know it takes around about 30 hours to beat. So I've still got a little way to go. But yeah, I'm like, I actually still think that I'm still doing stuff I've done before. So like I last time I played it, I got fairly like lengthy into the game.
I want to replay it, or like play some of it, but like I don't want to do the opening hours again, and I don't want to play so much of it that it ends up like kind of making the second one feel samey when I get to it.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe what I'll do is I'll replay it. I mean, maybe I'll re-download it and play like the first 5 hours or so to get a refill for things. And then maybe I was like, watch all the cutscenes on YouTube. Because I realized like, oh shoot, I kind of actually don't remember much of anything about that first game story. So like I remember like obviously I remember how it ends. I remember what like what the name of the game means. I remember that, and like certain other things, but like certain characters and like who they are and how important they are and were and all, I don't remember those things. And I kind of want to refresh myself on all that before playing Forbidden West, which is why I wanted to replay the game before, but I just did not have the time. Like the past 2-3 months, I just not have the time to. And now it's in the window where if I do play this game, I will be finishing it right before I play Forbidden West. And that's just, I don't have the time to do that. That's just not a good idea for me.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's really all I have to say about Zero Dawn. I'm still enjoying it. I'll update as my playthrough continues. And then the one I have the least to say about, because I played the tutorial mission, I started playing the Hitman trilogy because I played Hitman 1 for a while, but it's been years since I played that game, so I did the tutorial again. So I will give everyone an update as I continue through that game as well.
Nice. Awesome. Cool. Looking forward to hearing about each of those games, especially Nobody Saves the World and well, everything except Rainbow Six Extraction. Like, not saying I don't want to hear more about it, but I'm just intrigued to hear more of your thoughts on each of those games and all like that. But fantastic, lovely. That's going to do it for us on this jam-packed, in-depth, deep divey episode of the Play to Win podcast. Thank you all so very much for watching and or listening. Remember, check out our site, playtowingames.wordpress.com. It's a home for all of our content, so go check that out. Follow us over on Twitter and Instagram at Play to Win Game for updates on the show, other things we may post over there as well. Subscribe to us on YouTube if you are here on YouTube already. And if you're not on YouTube, come subscribe to us over here on YouTube. We really appreciate that. Hit that notification bell as well so you know as soon as videos go live. Like this video, comment on this video, and let us know what you think about the Activision, Microsoft, Blizzard acquisition, all like that. Do you agree with it? Do you like it? Do you hate it? What are your thoughts on it? Let us know. We would love to hear. And also share this episode of the podcast with anybody and everybody that you think would like it. We would really greatly appreciate that. Do that with the YouTube version and also the podcast version of the show as well. Subscribe to us also on podcast services. Leave us a review. A nice 5-star review would be really nice. We will really greatly appreciate that because we think we are a 5-star podcast over here. We think we do a good job. So yeah, all that being said, Keiran, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at badlynet, BADLYNET, all one word.
Lovely. And you can find me over on Twitter at Tyler Miller 2496. Yeah, that's going to do it for us over here. Thank you all so much for watching and or listening, and we'll talk to you all next time. Have a great one.
See you later.